Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Student Experience panel. Today, we have with us current engineering students from both our Vancouver and Okanagan campuses, here to share with everyone a little insight into the program that you have been hearing about from the past 2 days, but from the student perspective. A short introduction for myself. I'm Veronica Singh. My pronouns are she and her, and I'm a second-year materials engineering student at the UBC Vancouver campus. If you would like to find out how life is being an engineering student or just want to know about the extracurriculars that this program offers, I recommend you stick around. I'll ask our panelists to now introduce themselves, their names, pronouns, program, year level, and extracurriculars that they might be involved in. Starting from Busayo, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, hi everybody. My name is Busayo. I'm currently a third-year engineering student in biomedical engineering, specializing in biomaterials and biomechanics. Some extracurriculars I'm involved in. I'm currently in a work-term position at UBC, and I'm also a volunteer with the Engineering Undergraduate Society.
Moving on, Madison, would you like to go next?
Yeah, for sure. Hi, I'm Madison Smith. My pronouns are she, her. I am a fourth-year mechanical engineering student at UBC's Okanagan campus, and I'm also in the biomedical option, so that's pretty cool. Some extracurriculars that I'm involved in is the Okanagan Engineers in Medicine, which is a new club this year, and I'm also on the Engineering Society as a social events director.
That's amazing. Martin?
Hello, everyone. I'm Martin. I'm a second-year chemical engineering student, and I'm residing on the Vancouver campus. Pronouns are he, him, his. And the current extracurriculars that I'm involved in are being a second-year representative for my department, which is a chemical and biological department. And I'm also a communications intern, so simply a social media manager. And I'm also on Engineers for a Sustainable World as a project member.
Thank you. Kailey, would you like to go next?
Sure, my name is Kailey. My pronouns are she, her. I'm at the UBC Okanagan campus for my third year of mechanical engineering. I'm originally from Alberta, and I would love to answer questions on biomedical research, getting involved with clubs, starting clubs, taking summer courses, living in residence, being a female in engineering, or just mechanical engineering in general. Thanks.
Thank you. And finally, Mayank.
Hi, I'm Mayank. I use pronouns he and him, and I'm a third-year integrated engineering student at Vancouver campus. I'm specializing in mechanical and materials engineering, and the things that I'm involved with are the Undergraduate Society as the Vice President of Academic Affairs, which is a student council for all of engineering undergraduate students. I'm involved in UBC Rocket, the design team, and UBC Design League, a club, and many other orientation things. So you might see me around next year.
Amazing, thank you. While being at UBC, our students have a variety of opportunities that they can take advantage of, including programs like Coordinated International Experience Program, research abroad opportunities, co-op, and a variety of extracurriculars. At UBC, there are over 30 engineering design teams, ranging from automotive teams to sustainability teams. You can join a team as early as first year and can get a chance to compete internationally with universities like Harvard and UC Berkeley, and maybe even beat them. Design teams are a great way to apply your theory, learn to tackle challenges, and innovate. In addition to that, our campuses also have over 400 student-run clubs. Student clubs are a great place to meet like-minded people and explore your interests. Whether it may be developing a website or standing up for climate change, we have it all. And that's enough for me, and let's hear from our panelists. I will be asking them a few questions that prospective students have previously submitted. The first question is for you, Mayank. Why should students join design teams, and what value does it add?
This is a very strong question. I've been on two design teams over the last 2 years, two and a half years. UBC Mars Colony and UBC Rocket, and my perception of design teams have changed. It's the entirely opposite now. Design teams are a great way to network and meet new people, meet like-minded people. If you're having a bad or a rough day, you just go into the design team space and you'll find someone there that has the same amount of passion as you, about what you're doing, and you can just start talking to them and feel so much better. They're like a great support group. You also get to develop your technical skills. So you just like machine whatever you want for your project. So you're developing technical skills, networking skills, and you're also understanding how to work in a company-like environment. Design teams are student-led, so all the hiring, managing, operations, marketing, promotions, everything is done by students, by undergraduate students. So it's basically like running a startup. So you get a great exposure to how things are done, how to be independent, and how to learn uh, how to perform in a company-like environment right from your undergraduate level. That sets you up great for when you enter the workplace.
That's amazing. Busayo, would you answer the same question? Why should students join design teams, and what value does it add?
Yeah, and just to add on to what Mayank said, a thing I found really interesting because I was also part of two design teams, UBC Best and Subsea. With Subsea especially, it was such a unique design experience. We were working with building a human-powered submarine and racing that, which is just such a crazy thing to do. And it gives you the opportunity to work on projects that you might not be able to get outside of a design team experience. And with that, as well, as Veronica mentioned, there are opportunities to go and compete internationally. We were set to go compete in the States and in London. However, COVID impeded on some of those plans, but there are still great opportunities to connect and build your network, especially outside of co-op, and to also just find a community on campus as well. Another thing that was really helpful for me was there are workshops and mentorship opportunities. So you can, again, apply what you're learning in the classroom to a more hands-on experience while also getting advice from upper year students and like-minded students as well.
That's great. And the next question is for you, Kailey. How did you find your community at UBC? Did you join any clubs or programs that helped you?
Yeah, I found a lot of my community through clubs, living in residence, and now that I'm in upper years, my classes. So clubs are a great way to meet like-minded people and can be serious or really casual. There's a club fair hosted every year at UBCO, and clubs range from serious clubs, kind of like motorsports, to fun clubs like board games and knitting. So I joined a couple of clubs and made some really great friends that way. Living in residence, I got really close with quite a few people on my floor. We'd all go to lunch together, see each other around all the time, and we made an intramural team. So we just played like a casual on like a casual sports team once a week. Now that I'm in upper years, a lot of my class sizes are smaller, so you get to know your classmates better too.
That's amazing. Would you like to add to the same question, Martin?
Yes, of course. I think Kailey said a lot of great things for, how to know a lot more people on campus. I also had a lot of similar experiences, especially in first year. I lived on residence, and there are a lot of people that I saw on my floor that I also saw in classes. And also joining a lot of events is also a great way to network and know other people, especially in my department, because my department hosts a lot of events. So I went to a lot of those. I was able to meet a lot of students and a lot of upper year students as well, and gain a lot of advice from them. And I joined a few more clubs this year compared to last year. So I've definitely been able to meet a lot more people, and they've given me some great advice from the program that I'm in.
That's great. And for our next question, back to Madison, what is the best place to find student clubs, and how did you find out about the student club that you're part of?
Yeah, so Kailey kind of mentioned that we have club expos that go on. In the first few weeks of school, we have a expo where all the clubs come to the courtyard at UBCO. And that's a great way to meet people from each one of the clubs, kind of see what's out there. But if you do end up missing that expo, you can go onto the SUO website, and they have all the clubs listed there. And you can check out their social medias and figure out kind of where you might fit best. Another way to figure out what clubs are out there is the Engineering Society. They have open office hours, and you're always welcome to go into their office and discuss with a student and figure out where you might fit best. For me, the way that I found out the different clubs was the first year representative came to our lecture and gave a presentation about the Canadian Engineering Leadership Conference. And I applied for that and actually went to the conference, which I highly recommend attending conferences. It connects you to students across Canada, which is amazing. And through that, I became part of the engineering society and met a lot of people and found all the clubs that way.
Thanks. That's good to know, Madison. Mayank, would you like to add to that answer?
Yeah. So the resources Madison said are amazing. And if you go to Instagram or just UBC or just Google and type UBC clubs or student groups, you'll get a massive list that you can just go through with all the links to their social media, Instagram, websites, whatever. Another way to find out about it is just reaching out to current students on LinkedIn or any other platform that you can find them on. And every upper year student, every current student will be more than happy to talk to you about their experiences and share what all resources we have, what all student clubs we have. And again, just being aware of events, just following like undergraduate societies and these organizations that share resources about other events and where a lot of people come, you just show up to those and you'll be meeting so many new people.
Thank you, Mayank. With so many ways that you can be involved outside of your work schedule and the engineering program's reputation of being course heavy as compared to other degrees, it is sometimes possible to feel like you don't have enough time for everything. And personal time management for me was a learning curve. Everyone has different ways to manage time, and today we'll be discussing just a few questions about it. Busayo, would you like to tell us, how did you maintain a work-study balance while being a part of extracurriculars?
Yeah, definitely. So what really helps me especially is specifically breaking down my schedule and figuring out how I want to allocate time to different commitments. With design teams especially, I think a big thing is communicating with your team leads and the rest of your team about your schedule and just what you're willing to work within so that you're not putting too much of a burden on yourself. A lot of times within design teams, there's different types of projects that you're working on or different teams within the big team itself. So I'd also recommend going onto a team or requesting to be on a team that you're genuinely interested in so that a lot of it doesn't feel like additional work, and also view it as a way to apply what you're learning in the classroom to hands-on experience, because a lot of times what you're doing on the teams or just in the extracurriculars do apply back to what you're learning in class. So you don't want it to feel too much like a burden. And again, like they mentioned earlier, it is kind of like a startup. You're also working with other students, so they will be flexible and lenient, especially around midterm season or final season. They're very understanding. So again, just openly communicate about your workload and what you're willing and have the capacity to do.
Thank you. Kailey, would you like to share with us your strategy?
Yeah, that was really well said. I couldn't agree with that more. Engineering definitely is busy. You take 6 courses a semester, 2 semesters a year. But the great thing is that everyone's in the same boat, and everyone handles the course load differently. So you just have to find the way that works for you. Personally, I'm a list maker, and I try to set daily and weekly goals as to what I want to get done. I always try to look ahead in the calendar to see what's coming up, because you'll have busy weeks and light weeks. And if you're organized and know when your busy weeks are, you can work ahead and make that week easier on yourself. Because you're never really going to have a completely free evening. But sometimes I even schedule in breaks so I don't feel guilty for taking them, because you need that for your mental health, and you have to be able to enjoy, more about university than just your classes. So I guess my tip would be to get all your deadlines and assignments organized into one place and look ahead and work ahead.
Thank you. I couldn't agree with you more. Moving on to our next question. Martin, did your studying style or attitude change while transiting from high school to university?
Yeah, it definitely changed a lot. I've definitely had to adapt in terms of more so efficiency and a lot of time management. So it definitely hit by second semester where it definitely improved a lot of my study methods and got homework done a lot faster. One thing that I did was tracking my time, because I noticed that I would spend disproportionate amounts of time on certain classes, especially since like first term, it's 7 classes and second term, it's 6 classes in the first year. You have to spend considerable amounts of time on each class, not disproportionate amounts of time on just one class. So definitely tracking my time and identifying areas where the classes I spent the least amount of time on was very helpful. And for a few of my classes, compared to high school, didn't have practice problems. So to tackle that, I would create my own practice tests and then that's how I test myself on information that I would need to know for upcoming exams. So that was also very helpful. And along with tracking my time, I would also say that being very well with your breaks is also key to studying style, because depending on how you spend your breaks, you can be either easily distracted or come back more focused or re-energized. So I try to like stretch during my breaks, especially since like sitting for long periods of time, or just try to take a walk and then come back feeling more focused to continue my work. And also study groups definitely helps a lot more for university compared to high school, especially when the homework piles up and exams are coming. So definitely a working groups or homework. So I definitely recommend that.
Great, thanks. Madison, the same question for you. Did your studying style or attitude change while transiting from high school to university?
Yeah, mine definitely changed. In high school, most of my studying was done within school hours. There wasn't too much that I had to do outside of class. Where in university, there was a lot more studying done outside on your own time. So time management, as you've all emphasized, is super important. And setting those times aside for each class to make sure you stay on top of the content. For me personally, I find if you, at the end of the week, review all your lectures and identify any areas in which you're confused, and then the next week, you can go and talk to your professor. There are TAs. There's lots of resources out there, or even your peers, because often if you have a question, your peers also have the same question, and somebody will have the answer. So keeping on top of it every week is really helpful, because if you start slacking in a class, by the time the midterm comes, 3 days is not enough time to study and learn an entire course. So staying on top of it weekly makes it more manageable. And then come exam season, when you might have 6 exams, you actually know all the content and it's much more manageable. And connecting with your peers, I find, is really helpful, because having that community and support throughout your degree is important, especially when you're stressed, and creating that sense of community. So that's definitely something that I found helpful. And your routine changes quite a bit going from, it's a new environment, you might be in a new city. So establishing a new routine and finding what times of day you work best. Some people are better working at night. Some people prefer to work in the morning. So just finding what works for you, because everybody's individual. What works for one person won't work for the next. So yeah, just figuring out what works best for you. And accept that if you have any failures or shortcomings, it's not a failure. It's just that something in your routine probably needs to change. And so in your first year, don't be discouraged if you get a lower mark than you were expecting. Just identify where you could have done better and then implement that in the future. And I'm sure all of you that are more upper years, you realize compared to first year to now, your studying routine is much better. So it will get better.
Thank you. We have now reached the end of our discussion today, but before we move on to the next sessions in the open house, would any of you like to give our prospective students who may be joining the UBC community a final word of advice?
I can go.
Sure.
Yeah, so definitely when you join UBC Engineering, keep an open mind and show up to as many events as you can. The more people you meet, the more resources you'll know about. And the more resources you'll know about is the more networking you'll be able to do, and the more you'll be able to grow. So just keep an open mind and try out different things. Don't try to be in your little bubble. Try to go out of your comfort zone and try out new experiences.
I have one thing to add.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
So I would say to start the Jumpstart program. So that's a really excellent way to make friends and network with people, especially in your program. So you can, like, of course, you can also find people in other faculties, but in Jumpstart, you're groups with people that are in the same faculty as you and want to branch out into different specializations. And it's a really excellent, fun way to meet new people and explore the campus. So definitely recommend.
Thank you, everyone. We have now reached the end, and thank you all for being here, sharing your thoughts with everyone. This session could not have been possible without you. And thank you, everyone, for watching our student panel.
Yes, huge thank you to all of our current students for being here today and sharing your experience from both campuses. We really appreciate it and giving students the time to connect with you. We also have a few more sessions coming up today. So we have the international student session and the transfer student session that will be starting in just a couple of minutes over in sessions. And then we also have the advising Q&A session that will be going on for the last half hour of the event today as well. So just a reminder, if you've just joined us, that you can access the recordings from any of the previous days in the replay section on your left-hand navigation. So you can watch any recorded presentations there, even after the event is over. And next week, you'll get a link to all of those videos as well. And coming up next, like I said, you can move into sessions where we have 3 different sessions for you to choose from. That's it for today on the stage, but definitely go check out some of our sessions where you'll hear more from students and learn a little bit more about UBC engineering. And then I just added to the event chat as well, but after today, the conversation doesn't end. So keep chatting with our current students. There's a few ways to do that. 2 members here are part of the Engineering Stories team, if you want to give a wave. Madison and Busayo are both on the Engineering Stories team. If you watch those on TikTok or Instagram or on YouTube, you'll definitely see more of them this year. And then there are several students here as well that are part of our UBC Engineering Ambassador program. So you can chat with them, and I added that link on how to chat with our students. And you can go in there and chat with students from both campuses. They list all of the clubs and design teams and co-op things and all sorts of stuff that they've been involved with. So you can look through their profiles and see a student that you may want to start a conversation with. So thank you so much, everyone.